like you to also react to that. Do you see a different turn of events in this time around?
Well, about the election,
yes,
whether it's going to be...
If there will be a runoff election.
Yes. INEC has always prepared for a rerun. It's not new. Every time there is an election, INEC foresees a rerun. And it is better for INEC to always prepare, not to be caught napping. But then, personally, if you ask me, I do not think there will be a rerun. I think whoever is going, I think whoever is going to win, will win by a landslide. Yes, of course, it's a 3-horse race, but those of us who can read, who can analyze, who can see the strengths and the weaknesses of the parties. Those of us who are familiar with places that can be their catchment areas and all of that, I personally do not expect a rerun. I personally don't expect a rerun. But again, it is okay for INEC to prepare. INEC should always be prepared for that in case it happens. Because normally, the rerun must take place between 21 days after the main election. And should there be a rerun, which I don't expect, INEC cannot start printing the ballot papers and the materials at that time.
INEC actually said we are still going to print these ballot papers.
Definitely, that's what they should do. INEC is simply doing what it should do. And it's not new. It's always been doing that.
All right, so while both of you share the same sentiments, let's still talk about some of these factors that have posed a threat to INEC and also the security agencies. Recently, INEC reported that 242 polling units in Katsina State, that's over 100,000 registered voters, in 10 councils of Katsina State are under serious security threats. And this is the president's state of origin. Order.
Well, I'm not surprised that we have this kind of issue. It's very sad. Of course, Nigeria, normally, even without elections, has been having security problems. And usually, we know that in Nigeria, when it comes to elections, when it comes to the time of elections, people often, tempers are high, violence, characterizes our election. Now, what the election is now even taking place at the time that Nigeria is bedeviled by a high level of insecurity. We should be concerned. But it's not enough for INEC to analyze the problems, which we all know. We've seen already INEC offices attacked and all of that. Now, it's not enough for INEC to just tell us these are the problems. What are the solutions? What measures will be taken in place to prevent violence from happening? All of us should be concerned because of the situation in the country at the moment.
All right, Doctor, let me have your take on that.
I think we had this same fear during the last election, especially in Borno State. And the elections went fruitfully. What will happen, and which is already happening, is that there will be deployment of more security agents.
Well, we've always deployed lots of security personnel.
No. Now it's going to be targeted deployment for elections. Well, we may not have enough, but it then also depends on the intelligence that you get. We know the flashpoints. We know the areas where people are likely to breach the peace. We know. So it is a matter of targeting those areas with more personnel than those areas where you know there won't be a problem. For instance, you hardly have any threat during elections in Lagos. When you go to your state, you know where those threats are. You can talk of Ibadan. You talk of the northern part of Oyo State. Yes. You know. So it's a matter of being focused and then intelligence gathering, because these things move. Where you already know that 2 candidates have been at loggerheads fiercely, even when that area has not been a usual threat, then you should focus on it. That's the meaning. So it means if Borno, as it is now, is a bit calm, then leave it as it is. Let's go to Katsina, where the bandits have taken over a large part of the state. Zamfara is becoming calmer now. So it's a matter of the trends. And knowing that, see, there are some areas that you know that whether you bring out the security agents or not, people are not likely to come out to vote. Anambra is one. Imo is another in the rural areas. So it's a matter of doing those analysis very clearly, which is why on this program we say it sometimes that when some attacks happen, even those of us who are not in the intelligence agencies, we know where these things will happen. And we expect that some of these things would have been predicted and nipped in the bud. So that's what this is all about. It's a matter of looking at what antecedents we've had. And in which, for instance, when you go into some areas where the presidential candidates appear to be both strong, then you should begin to focus. But where one has a massive edge, then you know.
All right, gentlemen, let's quickly take Mohammed from Niger State. Hello, Mohammed. Hello, Mohammed. Please go ahead with your contribution. Good afternoon. Please go ahead with your contribution, Mohammed. All right. Okay. All right. I think Mohammed cannot hear us properly. All right, Paul, that you wanted to react to that.
Yes, I personally do not think we should rest on our horse and think that, okay, because there have always been fears and they were able to hold elections, so we can just now say, okay, the threats are not real, or the threats are no less serious than what they used to be. Now, the last time we held a general election was in 2019. What was the state of security then? What's the state of insecurity now? Things have progressively gone worse. We have experienced attacks even in places where they were not common. Recently, we have begun to experience attacks along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. This is not the time for us to say, okay, maybe the threat, maybe it's like it's business as usual. The truth of the matter is that we can't afford to do that. Now, we're not even talking about, this is not a time of off-season election where you can concentrate the might of the security in a state, or maybe in a state that is holding an off-season election. No, I'm not pessimistic here. I'm not saying that we can't tackle this the insecurity, but this is not what we can play down. Now, we don't have enough security personnel. This is the time for the regular security to interface with the local security. This is the time for Amotekun to come up, and some of the other vigilantes and even CDAs in places.
All right. Hello, Jubril. Jubril is calling from Adamawa State. Good afternoon to you. All right, guess we lost Jubril there.
Okay, let me just say something. The IG was very specific, and going to run with him. It's dangerous for the federal government to allow the local security apparatus to get involved in elections. It's quite dangerous. And that's why I'm saying, see, you've got to be specific. You've got to have your intelligence right to know how to deploy. When you bring the likes of vigilantes and Amotekuns that are loyal to state governments, what we are going to have in that place will be pure chaos, where there is going to be bias. I'm just being...
Yeah, but we really cannot shy away from how intelligence has been a huge problem when it comes to security.
That's what I'm saying, that we need to up it. I said it very clearly that we should get that right. If we don't get it right, because of the number of security operatives that we are going to have issues. That is where intelligence comes in. Because even those who are available on ground now without elections, they are not enough. And that's why we keep having this on and off attacks and all the rest. But if there is intelligence, for instance now, he mentioned the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway attacks. On that road, I don't know when last you traveled, you see a lot of movements of soldiers, both the Navy and the Army, in their full operational vehicle. Do we just need them to keep driving up and down that road without any form of intelligence? It's a no-no. What we need is for them to have intelligence to move. When you just keep driving around, you show force, you show power. These people see you from inside the bush that you have gone by. They come out and attack. That's where the intelligence comes in.
Maybe I need to make some clarification.
All right, sir.
Because when I said they should interface with local security, I didn't mean that the local security should carry guns and start patrolling. You talk about intelligence. Where do you get intelligence from? It's not from the local people. That's what I'm talking about. You know, when I say interface with local security, I mean work with them. Amoteku, for example, they are children of the soil. You understand? They know the nooks and crannies. The truth of the matter is that we don't have enough security personnel. Though I look forward to a time in this country, I hope it happens, if it doesn't happen in my lifetime, if it happens in the lifetime of my grandchildren, where we would, all the elections, I will not need security.
All right,
but things are the way they are now. And there's nothing we can do.
All right, let's quickly touch on the technology advancements in the election process. INEC chairman says BVAS IREF is here to stay. And a lot of people have a strong opinion that if we really want to improve the reliability of election process, digitization of election is the way forward.
It worked. So if we decide, like we've said, a lot of these things will be curbed when people know that going to steal ballot papers on the way from one unit to another. For instance, you move from the ward to local government physically with your, when they know it is over, the only thing that they can do now is to stop the election from holding. Then it is now obvious that with the deployment of more security agencies and technology, we'll be able to overcome. That's what is important now. Because as soon as votes are counted, it goes up on the server.
All right, Paul Dada.
Well, nobody should fault technology. Even from the last elections that BVAS have been deployed, people can make some criticisms. Well, it's not perfect. Of course, nothing human is perfect. But the truth is that we know that BVAS are save time. Remember those days that people would have to go and do verification, the voter verification, and then you stand in the sun for a long time and then time wasting. Apart from time wasting, technology you can track with technology. You can track the results. So the issue of ballot snatching and all of those ones have become minimal, if not totally inexistent.
Yeah. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Let's quickly touch on some of the discussion. The governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum, is a man that is passionate about resettlement of people displaced by insurgency. So when an aid worker was killed in the state, he was saddened. Governor Zulum has condoled with the United Nations over the killing of a humanitarian worker, Alem Muliseta, by a Nigerian soldier who ran berserk in Dambwa local government area of the state. In a condolence letter to the UN's resident representative in Nigeria, Matthias Kimag, Governor Zulum said he is shocked and deeply saddened by the incident, which he described as an isolated incident that the military is investigating. Dr. What could have really happened here?
I think it's just psychological and then emotional. Over time, from what we gathered, experts in the area of psychology and the rest have been deployed in the war or in the theater of operation to keep talking to our soldiers. I've not really been in a confrontation situation in the Northeast, but I've witnessed it when Nigerian troops were deployed to Liberia and Sierra Leone. Even as a civilian not holding a gun, some of those things have refused to leave my memory. And then I begin to wonder, because on one of the occasions in Liberia, our troops were ambushed, including female soldiers. And they had to lie low. They had to stay in the trench for about 12 days. No food, no water, to enable the enemies exhaust whatever they had brought before they came out and attacked. Because at that point, the fighter jets of the Nigerian force couldn't be brought in. So, because if they come in, they are going to kill our own troops. And that is exactly what we're having in the Northeast. So if somebody gets to that point and you see a lot of your colleagues being killed, you see human lives being wasted, some of these things can lead to a complete breakdown. Complete breakdown. And I think that was what happened to that soldier. I can picture what he would have gone through in terms of emotional stress. So that's why, for me, I think no matter what, we should always keep encouraging our troops. Sometimes I do some things and people look like, is this man crazy? If I'm at the airport and the soldier is behind me, even if it's a private, please come in front. If I'm on a queue to buy food in an eatery and a man with a uniform comes, please come. Even a last mile official was shocked one day at an eatery. I said, no, madam, go in front of me. Because they are serving us. And they need those kind of encouragements to know that when they come back from serving us, we in the society, we are going to give them that due respect. A lot of people don't know what they go through. You only need to visit some of those areas in Borno and see the kind of destructions there. To now imagine what those soldiers are going through, where bandits and terrorists are using anti-aircraft missiles to fire at human beings. Missiles that are supposed to bring down aeroplanes. You are shooting it at human beings. And that's what our troops are going through. Let me add that we must commend the governor in Borno State. He has been very helpful. And I think his impact has been one of those things that must have kept these soldiers encouraged. Because we've not had, except the friendly fires that we've had in the past, we've not had this kind of thing of recent, where a soldier just turns his gun and starts shooting. We've not had it. So he has done a lot, not only for the people, but even for the troops.
All right, Paul Dada, from reports out there, these military men suffer in silence, especially when it comes to their mental health.
Yeah, that's true. I like his spirit, and it's a spirit that every Nigerian should have. It's easy for Nigerians to sit down in the comfort of their homes, or sit in their cars, or sit in the beer parlors and start condemning men in uniform. You know, every Nigerian sees the man in khaki as an enemy. Many times, I once had a pastor of a church that was peopled mostly by military men. I was in that service one day. He himself was the son of a military man. And he said, this profession is cursed. I mean, pastor was saying that. He was saying that because of, you know, maybe the violence that some people in uniform met out on innocent civilians, and then maybe that one response with a cause. That happens. Nobody's going to deny that. And we all condemn it. When policemen misbehave, we condemn them. But the truth of the matter is there are things people go on. I have a friend that has gone on missions. When he was telling me how it is when people work on mines, maybe soldiers particularly work on mines, he said it is even better than that you are shot with a gun. Because if you work on mines and there's an explosion, you are torn to pieces. Now imagine you seeing that happen to your colleague, maybe the person in your front steps on mines and then is torn to pieces. Not someone that a trigger, you know, maybe a gun is placed on his temple or something, or is shot in the chest, or which is normal. Talking about someone who is torn into pieces, and maybe you have to start picking the pieces. These are things these people go through. And which I think what we need to, this is just a one-off incident. It's not something that happens all the time. So we cannot use this to judge the military, because a deranged soldier, it's condemnable. No, it's very serious. I mean, I'm not trying to downplay it. But the thing is, maybe we need to be more eagle-eyed maybe we need to be more eagle-eyed, maybe authorities need to be eagle-eyed, to watch out for those who may be showing signs of breakdown and take them out, maybe for counseling or for rehabilitation. It's very important.
All right, so Nigeria is to open PTSD Center for military personnel. What impact will this have on the armed forces?
It will definitely have a major impact. Because like we said, these things are not easy. I mean, when you see some of these things and you begin to ask yourself, as a soldier, who is next? Am I next? I recall one of our trips to Liberia. We were already at the airport, ready to return to Nigeria. Then one of the generals there said, hold on, I forgot something in the office I want to send to Nigeria. He took his boys with him. When they came back, it took them time to return. We had 6 coffins with us, some of those guys who just left us, because they stepped on mines. There was no one who did not cry that day, because these were men who just left us with their boss to just pick something they wanted to send to the headquarters and put on the flights back to Nigeria. So we need as much as we can put in place for these people. And like we've always argued, this should not only just be in terms of even counseling. The welfare matters.
I was about to go there.
A man should know that if anything happens to me, my family's welfare is
protected.
Bam. Nothing will happen. But that doesn't happen in Nigeria. Even a man who is alive, retires from the military, he finds it difficult. If it doesn't take so long to even get his entitlements. That is getting better now, based on the records from the Military Pension Board. But those errors, I can imagine what a man will go through. My own dad died as a commissioner of police in service. It took us, despite the fact that he was a senior officer and all his mates were then up in the hierarchy. It took us over 1 year to get anything out. So, not to talk of those who are the foot soldiers. So we need to work on all of these things. And the amount also. You find some people, like we have said on this program, going to queue in the sun for 20,000 naira in a month. And they still keep telling them, come back for verification. Some leave Lagos to go to Lokoja, where you have Military Pension Board, or Abuja, or wherever they retire, the Yobe and all the rest, to do this verification. And we should be in an age of technology.
A whole lot of them are living in squalid conditions. Go to the barracks, some of the police barracks, and see how they live. People shouldn't live in that, I mean, normal human beings. Now you are telling me how that kind of person will not have a mental breakdown, you know, when he's living in such condition. Now, this PTSD is a serious thing that soldiers who have gone on campaigns, who have been to the battlefield, can have. And some of the symptoms include self-destructive behavior, you know, like drinking too much, driving too fast, you know, like getting angry unnecessarily. These are things that can happen. Some will have trouble sleeping, some will have memory loss, you know. So the issue of their welfare is paramount. Make them feel like people. Make them feel important. They don't make them feel subhuman. Already, going to the battlefield is like being in a subhuman condition, because whether you find yourself in the mire, or you find yourself in the water, or in the whatever, you must cope. You understand? Even the training is like that. But when you are back,
what happens?
What happens?
And unfortunately,
when you retire, what happens?
Most of the professionals who can take care of them to overcome this battle syndrome, they are out of the country. They are leaving because other people want them and are ready to pay. It's still part of what we are suffering. Absolutely. Doctors are leaving, nurses are leaving, psychiatrists are leaving, physiotherapists are leaving, psychologists are leaving.
Jackma.
They are leaving. So
young Nigerians are leaving.
How do we then have enough to go around to even sit down with these officers and men and talk to them? Because this thing must be continuous. It's not something you do once in a year. It's something you have to, even if it's possible, every day. Get to talk to them. Let them feel loved. Let them feel like they're part of the society. I wish all of us who ill-treat them when they are in our midst will one day be given just a pistol to shoot. If you hold a pistol and you fire and you don't fall down the first time, I'll credit you.
All right, so let's, one of the major issues from this report is that a humanitarian worker died. Yeah. And so from reports, the working conditions for these officers are becoming increasingly dangerous day by day.
It is really. But I know that the UN, United Nations, is always prepared. Not as if we should lose them, but they also know the dangers involved. It's a sacrifice. And that's why I said those who are in this line of work, we should praise them. We should encourage them, because anything can happen at any time. And that's why there is nothing that we do for them that is too much. I can't do that kind of job. There are people who have decided to sacrifice everything. Once there is a war, they know that that is the next point of work for them. So they have gone past this kind of inhibition that we have. But it does not mean that is the ultimate. But we should continue to encourage them, praise them for the job they are doing.
All right. Before I allow you to react to that, let's quickly take our caller from Abuja. Hello, Toby.
Hello.
Good afternoon to you. Welcome to the show. Yes, please. Please go ahead.
Yes, I just want to make a brief contribution.
Okay.
Hello, with me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
You see, the problem we're having in this country, okay.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, so see, the problem we're having in this country is that what we're supposed to do, we will not do it. You know, from the entrance of any organization that employs, hello?
All right. I guess you need to call back, please. Thank you. All right, Paul Dada.
Yes,
Do they need more protection?
Of course, they need more protection. They need more protection, and they need to also be counseled. I'm sure, of course, I like to believe that they are sufficiently orientated on where to go, how to move, when not to move. But sometimes the unexpected happens. It even happens to journalists covering the war front. Journalists have lost their lives while covering the war front. I know of I read of a female journalist who went to cover a war somewhere, and then everything, a bomb or something, and her jaw was completely shattered. She was lucky to escape. I mean, not to die. Of course, surgery was done and everything, and then she said, "I want to go back." I want to go back. It's like she had no life other than that. So these humanitarian or aid workers are very, very important. We need them actually in every battle. You have the Red Cross, you have all sorts of NGOs, international NGOs, going to the battlefield to assist those who are displaced, those who are the IDPs and all of those people. So I am sure that before they go, I believe that they have been given sufficient. It's not just what anybody can. You can't just wake up one morning and say, I want to go to the battlefield and be an aid worker. You must have been trained sufficiently. But you can't, it's just like a soldier. You can't be too careful. I mean, you know that if you are going to the battlefield, you may not come back. Right. Even though you have been taught, maybe you have been taught evasive tactics, how to dodge, how to do all of those things, but
all right, Dr. Your final take on this before we move to our next question.
I think I'll also still go back to the issue of commendation for these men and women who are doing us good as a country. Because we can't run away from the fact that whichever part of this country where there is problem is still a part of it. And those who are helping us, the soldiers, the aid workers, they stand well commended, because without them, things would have been worse.
All right. After 23 years of uninterrupted democracy, it is sad that the electoral process is still dogged by violence. This menace is staring us in the face as the 2023 general election approaches. A civil society organization, Transition Monitoring Group, TMG, has raised the alarm of a high rate of political intolerance by states and citizens. In a statement, Chairman of TMG, Awa Musa, lamented attacks on INEC offices and personnel in some states, as well as refusal of state governments to allow opposition to use public facilities for their campaigns and rallies. According to him, the organization will deploy observers across the country to campaign against election violence, thuggery, harassment, and vote buying. So, gentlemen, how important is this collaboration ahead of the general election?
Collaboration is very, very important. Excuse me.
So TMG is partnering the strengthening civic advocacy and local engagement. It's
very important. People have to be sufficiently orientated that election is not a do-or-die affair. You know, the Transition Monitoring Group is complaining about, what's it called now?
Political intolerance.
Political intolerance. And it's even escalated during our time. There are people who are very, and I can understand that, they are angry with the status quo, and justifiably so. But anger alone, anger and being intolerant will not just get you what you want. It will probably escalate the issues. We have cases of governors who will not allow other parties to use certain facilities. You understand? But it doesn't have to be like that. You know, let's live in an atmosphere of live and let live. It's not a do or die affair. So TMG has been on for a long time. TMG has been in existence for a long time. And TMG has always been saying things like this, you know, monitoring the elections and all of that. There are other NGOs. But beyond this collaboration, I don't know, we need to change the way we think in this country. The politicians need to change the way they think. If you want me to vote you, for example, or you want me to vote who you are supporting, it's like you are selling a product. You are actually selling a product. Now, you have to convince me to accept that product. Yes or no? Now, you may be able to persuade me based on what you say. But I have the right not to be persuaded. Now, do you need to kill me? Do you need to abuse me? Do you need to insult me? Do you need to deny me of my right or of a privilege I'm entitled to? Because I am not buying. So that's
talking about Nigerians now?
Yes. When you say Nigerians, politicians are Nigerians. Governors are Nigerians. We are all Nigerians.
Non-politicians, actually.
Everybody is Nigerian. You see, we need leaders. Beyond what these NGOs can only do as much as they can do. Every year they sign what's it called?
Peace accord.
This accord
is always there.
And we still have those elders who are in charge of peace accord. They are honorable men. You get me now? They are concerned. But we need to have a change of attitude. From the church to the CDAs. You know, sometimes when you go to some of the religious houses, some of the things the pastors even say, it's very annoying. It's upsetting. They eat up the polity. I am thinking that it is in places of worship that the Quran is supposed to be taught. There is a popular pastor in this our country, Pastor Adeboye, who said, I am neutral. You understand? I will not say anything explosive because I know that in this my denomination, there are people that belong to different theological camps. Pastor Kuboye of Deeper Life too will not say anything explosive. You know, the other time he said, I will neither endorse nor
even predict who is going to win.
Anybody. There are pastors like that. But there are some other influential pastors, I don't want to name names, but we know them. The kind of things they say, you wonder who they are representing. Now, people go to those churches. How will they be tolerant? Where do people learn to be tolerant? How many people can TMG and his allies reach out to? That's the truth.
All right, so Dr. After 23 years of democracy, why should any state government refuse to allow opposition parties in their states to use public facilities?
Well, unfortunately, that's where we have found ourselves. It's quite sad because it's always been the same, except for a few states where the government in power is tolerant of the opposition. For instance, what is going on in your state now is a case in point, where the party in power, the People's Democratic Party, is believed to be backing some people against the APC. And what are they doing? They are destroying the billboards of the APC. If you recollect, some 2 days ago, the man they call Lamidi Mukaila, popularly known as Auxiliary, was arraigned in court for destroying the billboard of the APC presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And 2 days after, somebody took a cue in the Barapa area. The man who has the park management system in that place is known as Jamiu Sego, and went on rampage. In that place, they started shooting because they wanted to destroy the APC billboard there. A teenager who was nearby was hit by a stray bullet and he died. We need to get to a point where we should know. Like I said, politics is about conviction. And now that people are realizing that influencing votes by either snatching the ballot boxes or attacking people is an era that we're almost over in this country. They are now trying to ensure that that process that will lead to the voting, they make it uncomfortable for people. Otherwise, for me, and which some politicians have been preaching, what we should be doing, like I said, is to speak to the 96.2 million voters who are registered.
Exactly.
We have 96.2 million voters. So you are going on the streets now. The teenager that you have killed may not be up to 18 for him to vote. You have wasted his life. Some have said the National Orientation Agency is not doing enough. I agree. But like I said, those politicians who are at the top, if you ask me, those who are their supporters are only reading their body languages.
Of course.
Because if you know that I'm the boss here, and I'm saying it, and my body language is also saying it, that I'm against violence, you know, you won't do it. You know, that's what happens. But the moment you have a meeting with some of these and say, no, we should not allow these people to do this, you're already instigating violence. And that's what your supporters are going to take to the field. That's what they are going to execute. TMG is doing a good job. I like Awara Sanjani. They are talking, but we now need to go beyond the talking. That's why a lot of people are against state police. Imagine if PDP that is in power now in Oyo State is the one to provide the police to take auxiliary to court. Will it ever happen? It's a no, it won't happen. So we need now to also ensure that beyond this talking, people should be made to account for their deeds. All
right, Paul Dada, how do we tame this clog?
That's a very big question. That's a very big question. If you ask me, it starts also with the family. And I'll tell you why it starts with the family. They will tell you that the family is the first significant order. They will tell you that in social psychology. At some point, everybody needs to ask themselves this question. This politician that gives me money, or maybe buys bottles of alcohol for them, or gives them drugs, or whatever he gives them, to go and destroy the poster of someone, or to go and foment trouble somewhere, where is the child of that politician? That's the truth. That politician is a parent. His child is probably studying abroad, or is riding in a comfy car somewhere, enjoying himself. And then a child of a peasant is used. I think parents need to begin to talk to their children. What is the worth of your life? You go out, rival foot soldiers, maybe they bring out cutlass or they bring out a gun, shoot you, If you are 21, you end your life there. What were you supposed to become if you have lived beyond 21? If you are 29, you end your life. Is that the purpose of your existence? To be born and to die at 29, not as a hero. Not even as a hero, you know, not someone who went to war and died honorably. You understand? You went to fight a battle that is not yours. So to start with the families, the NGOs are trying. They should keep trying, but they can only do as much. Government itself should talk to the people. Then you need the CDAs, you need the elder society, you need religion. I always say, so it may look like it sound like a broken record, talking like about the religious institutions. Almost every Nigerian is religious. There are Nigerians that listen to their pastors and imams more than their own parents. You know, their what they call religious leaders are more important to them than their own husbands and their own spouses. Now, it's the truth. It's like that. There are people like that. They will listen to what Daddy Gio is saying. You understand? I used to know one girl that was working with me as an IT student. She mentioned one particular person. She said, if this one said I should marry him, I will marry him. They asked me if I will marry him. That is the level of love people have for the person that she was talking about. Did not even know her, know of her existence. So people should talk to themselves. Religious leaders, street associations, community associations. Let's have a Nigeria where you can have a political view and then you will not be persecuted for it. I said it before. I have a friend in the UK who said that she supports a party and her husband supports another party. Whereas I saw something here, where a wife told the husband, said, you are supporting so and so. I will not give you bedroom service again. In this Nigeria, there is some sort of violence.
So when we talk about political intolerance, there are several issues interwoven. Now, INEC has recorded several arson on its facilities recently. Who do we blame for this constant targeted attacks, which has been described as systematic?
Well, I think what these people are trying to do is to walk ahead of the election. So when they can't even conduct election, what happens? That's why, like I said, we need...
I hope we do not get there.
We won't. We won't. Because what is going to happen at the end of the day will be those areas will be left out. Once it doesn't, in a significant way, affect the number that should vote in a particular area, then you move on. Like we said some years back, elections couldn't hold in some parts of Borno, but it did not significantly affect the number that must take part in that election. Maybe I should break it down further. When you have a senatorial district and you say there are 200 wards or 200 polling units, and you've had election in about 180, 190, then that's any 10 that doesn't fit in, then you move on, because there's enough representation for that area to cover up. So that's what is going to happen. Or in the interim, you lose all the economic benefits that will come with citing an INEC office in your area. Because if you burn it today, they can conduct that election from another point. And what does that mean? It means all your materials are somewhere. On the day of the election, you just bring it there, do your election, and you leave. But there are benefits to citing some of these structures in those areas. Economic benefits to the people there. So that's what they are going to lose. But people are already preparing for war ahead of 2023. So they are targeting those things. Let's burn. Maybe if we do this, it will stop them from holding the election. But I don't see it working. Because I don't see how burning 10 offices of INEC across the country is going to significantly change anything. What those people should be doing, like we have said here, go out and preach to the people. Vote for me.
All
Vote
right.
for my
Paul
candidate.
Dada, is this really systematic?
You know, it's very easy to be pessimistic. It's very, very easy to be pessimistic because when you look at what has been happening in the past, but it's also good to be hopeful that things, we are praying that things get better in the country. So why should I be pessimistic? I think that the authorities, you know, I said earlier that we should not rest on our horse, but I believe that where there's a will, there's a way. If we want to get things done in this country, we'll get them done. There's something I've discovered. When a government, on any issue, when the government is determined to do something, are you getting it now?
Yes, sir.
Government will have its way. If it's something good, no matter what. Let me give you a very funny example. You remember the way Oshodi used to be? I'm just giving an example to buttress what I'm saying. Remember the way Oshodi used to be? Very chaotic. There was almost no place to put your leg. If you were driving, it was tough. Then, former governor of Lagos State, Fashola came up and said, demolished the shanties and all of that. And then, a lot of people were angry. In fact, I heard someone say, I was passing by, I won't forget. The woman was angry. But look at Oshodi now. It's a wonder to behold. Have you passed that place in the night? You understand what I'm saying? And look at the way it is now. So what I'm saying is that when there is a will to do something good, we will have our way. All of us need to sit down. Everybody should talk to themselves. Is this Nigeria we want? How many of us have dual citizenship anyway? Even if I have dual citizenship, let me tell you, if you travel abroad now, even if you relocate, you cannot be as free as you are here. I've had a friend tell me that if not because Nigeria is bad now, what will I be doing here? You understand? Here that there's racism and all of that. So if we know that this is the country we have and we love this country, then we must make it work. So it can work if we want it to work.
All right. TMG also talked about citizens' participation and stakeholders' engagements. Now, I would like to know any difference between voter apathy and voter alienation.
Well, like I said, there are some areas in this country where we know already ahead of the election that participation is going to be low. It's going to be extremely low. We know those areas. But in talking of apathy, what we need to do, like we've said, is go out and talk to the people. Let them, assure them that their security is guaranteed if they come out to vote. Because that's the significant thing, security. Number two, which we are getting to, and very quickly, that their votes will count. Number three is that even if you vote for somebody, you should be assured that that person is going to perform.
All right, Dr. Kindly hold your thought while I take John from Abuja. Hello, John.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, I want to contribute to...
Please go ahead.
Discussion.
Please go ahead.
I want to... there's something one of the... said concerning violence in the election. They said the main nation of Lagos, that Lagos is, they don't experience violence. Even during this time of the primary, we are experiencing violence in Lagos. And during other past elections, we have noted that, like states like Solo, they will not allow them to.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, not so much about how we had it. It's the fact that it's predictable. You know where those things are in Lagos. That's what I said. You know, not a widespread thing in Lagos. You know areas, like I said, I mentioned Oyo State also, that you know areas where there will always be issues. And it's a matter of concentrating on those areas. But going back to what we're saying, we now need to ensure that voters don't become like a desical. People are willing to come out to vote. Already some people have given up on the country. They believe that whether they vote or not, what our leaders will do is what they will do. Because a lot of things don't work. recall process, even for lawmakers, is too tough.
Very cumbersome.
Cumbersome. Though it is good, because people will also walk into that system and make a mess of it. But even where we are seeing that this man is not efficient, to recall him is a problem. And once he has money with him, and the governor is supporting him, he cannot lose the re-election. So people, we are despondent. We are like, okay, whether we go out to vote or not, these people, we have their way.
All right, Paul, that quickly.
Yeah, voter party is what I've always complained about. Of course, I have covered elections. If you, especially in Lagos here, you will see boys playing football on the. If you ask them, they will tell you, we don't know. They don't really write the results. But I expect things to change now, because if you look at the way people went to register, especially young people, if you look at the population, the voting population, you know, there is an increase. You understand? I hope it also translates to actual voting on that day. I also think that with the innovations, the beavers and all of that, it may have restored some people's confidence in the process. It's very important that people show interest, because if you don't show interest, if you don't vote, you do not have any reason to start complaining that, okay, the person that is there is not doing well. Did you vote? Maybe your vote will have made a difference. So I expect I expect more interest in voting this time around.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We need to take this break. I'll be right back with journalist Hangout on Sunday. Please don't go away.
There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Every 1 hour, 86 migrants enter Lagos State. It is a beehive of activities. Every second counts in this city that never goes to sleep. There is always something to talk about. We go the extra mile to tell the story of Africa's 5th largest economy. We track happenings on land, on waterways, and in the air. We go against all odds to ensure that you
Never miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV station of the year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
The National Assembly is a busy place. As the bastion of democracy, it is a place where bills are presented, motions debated, laws made, and the yearnings of the people are laid bare. Come with us as we take you through the workings of the National Assembly. We take you through plenary, committee meetings, and probes, all to ensure smooth working of the democratic process.
All right, welcome back to Journalist Hangout on Sunday. It is about 96 days to the conduct of the 2023 elections, and political parties and their candidates are intensifying campaigns to garner support. One of the strategies adopted by the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is holding of town hall meetings to engage various groups in the country. Last week, he took his town hall meeting to Owerri, Imo State, where he had engagements with business leaders in the region. This is in addition to his regular election campaigns, which the party kicked off in Jos, Plateau State. Could this be the master stroke for Tinubu in the run to the election? Dr.
Well, the presidential candidate has said it very clearly that he would rather speak to groups, individuals, than to come on TV and be addressing the whole nation, because the message will be lost. He has said it. That's his own style. I don't want to engage in debates that he believes won't be as fruitful as meeting with individuals. And if one of the pledges made at that meeting is anything to go by, then it shows that he's getting his own tactics right. For instance, the businessman pledged ₦1 billion. He couldn't have gotten it from a public debate. So it shows that everybody has his own style. And the APC candidate that I know is more at home, is in his own elements when he's talking with people in a room. When you hear him speak, you will know that he's at home with that style of what they do outside, largely, which I've seen of the party, when you look at it from the Alliance for Democracy, Action Congress of Nigeria, and then APC, is that the rallies that they do is for catching fun, to throw songs, abusive songs at that, derisive songs at opponents. It is not really, because if you go to rallies, you go to campaigns, you find out that most of the things that those who are on the podium are saying, they are lost. So if I feel that talking one-on-one with people, with groups, will work better for me, why not? And it's working for him. When the town hall meeting in Kaduna was organized, he went there like other candidates. It wasn't a debate. Each individual came to address the group of Northerners. 6 of them came together and said, this is a platform, come and address us. He was there. The same thing happened in Lagos when the business community invited them. The APC candidate was there, the PDP candidate was there, the Labour Party candidate was there, the new Nigeria People's candidate was there. So were some others. So if it works for him that way, then we should allow him. At least we are seeing the fruit. If somebody is supporting your campaign with ₦1 billion, I mean a group of businessmen from the southeast, it shows we are going somewhere.
Yes, I think this the meeting, town hall meetings like this are very, very strategic. I've always said something that campaign rallies won't do it. They are necessary to create a buzz, you know, and all of that. But no party should think it can win or can gauge the level of support based on the number of people that attend the campaign rallies. I've said it. For example, if the candidate of Labour Party comes around here, people will come. A lot of people come out of curiosity. If the candidate of other party comes, the same people that came for that one will also go.
You see them there. Watch
so
the videos.
It is meetings like this. It is through meetings that you can gauge the people's responses or feedback to what you say. And I think what Asiwaju Tinubu did was very strategic. You know why? Because it's a region that people believe and that actually does not really go for APC normally. In fact, people believe, a lot of people from that region believe that they are marginalized. A lot of people still believe that, rightly or wrongly. You know, a lot of people are still disenchanted with the current president. We will seem to describe them as a dot in a circle. People have not forgiven him for that. Now, Asiwaju may have said, look here, my approach is going to be different with his presence there. Because when he got to talk about unity, he talked about having representation from every part of the country in his government, including the Southeast. And he can conveniently do that because when he was governor in Lagos State, you know, he appointed a lot of non-Lagosians, including Igbo people in his cabinet. Benakabweze, Joe Igbokwe was the spokesperson of the APC in Lagos for a long time. Now he's a special advisor in the current governor's cabinet. So, yes, what he did, it was very important for him to have done it. And the fact that the businessmen pledged 1 billion, that alone should tell Asiwaju that he has made some inroads and that he's going to probably get some significant support and maybe even votes from Imo State and maybe other parts of the Southeast.
All right, joining us via Zoom for more discussion on the recent town hall meeting by Igbo businessmen in honor of the APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu is the Nigerian ambassador to the Republic of Burundi, Dr. Elijah Uyagba. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you so very much for having me.
All right, you must have been listening to our conversation. I would like to know, what is the significance of this town hall meeting?
Thank you very much. I've listened through. It was actually that, yes. I can call it one of the engagements for Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his presidential campaign. For us, it's important that the campaign engages the people of the Southeast in a different form other than the typical rally that you're going to find out. In a typical rally, it's almost like a candidate coming and sitting down, or rather, standing before the people and saying the things he wanted to say to them without a kind of feedback. What this meeting is about was to be able to get a feedback from the people of the Southeast, because every presidential candidate, you forget that APC has about 2 out of the 5 states in the Southeast. But be that as it may, it was important for this campaign to sit down with the people to understand what their issues are. And I can tell you what the issues are because they all came out in the course of the meeting. Some businessmen felt that between Lagos and the Southeast, that there are multiple roadblocks that you have. So after clearing your goods in Lagos, you begin to also see custom people at various checkpoints on the road. And there were also issues relating to appointments. There were issues relating to the fact that it seems, quote and unquote, that the people of the Southeast are not able to get into certain are not able to get to certain positions in government. And obviously, that issue also came up for discussion. The people of the Southeast, particularly, of the APC extractions, are the people that are saying, listen, we know there are other candidates. We know that we even have relatives or brothers, as you can call it, that are running for the election. But we are coming out to say, listen, we are standing behind the candidates that we feel have got the best chance to win the election. Yeah, we're standing behind a candidate that is saying, listen, that though tribes and tongues may differ, but in brotherhood we stand. We're standing up for Nigeria, and that's the essence of that meeting. And Asiwaju gave his commitment to the people. He gave his commitment particularly to the traders to say, listen, we're going to include technology in our custom clearing processes in such a way that you can have a QR code on the product, on the container, on the vehicle. That once you scan it anywhere, you should be able to show that you have paid so that we can actually remove or eliminate this multiplicity of taxation that you find out that traders are going through as soon as they get their goods and they are going down to the east. So for me, it was a very welcome development. He sat down and listened to some of the challenges that the traders were having, and of course, that of the business community or the stakeholders from the Southeast. Someone also mentioned the donation of the 1 billion. Let me explain to you how the donation came. The donation actually came from 2,000 traders that have contributed 500,000 naira each, and that's how we came. And they're actually saying that it is going to be more than that because their numbers are increasing by the day. So what they have at that meeting was 2,000 people contributing a minimum of 500,000 naira to this campaign. So that's actually what, people have just said the number, but it's important because I was in the meeting to be able to go deeper and explain some of the things that happened in the course of that meeting. So the engagement was very fruitful in my opinion and assessment, and I believe that this will be one of several because he may also choose to do another one in another region. I mean, of course, we knew the one that happened in Lagos. We knew the one that happened in Kaduna. We are aware of the ones that happened in both Niger states as well as Nasarawa state as well. He has come to Imo State. Maybe he will come back again. But of course, this is actually different from the usual just come to a campaign ground, a rally ground, and then speak and then talk to the people and then, go back to wherever you're coming from. So it's a mix of both strategies, talk to the people directly, still go to the rally and still speak to the people you need to speak to the rally. So that's basically what happened. And I thought it was a very good strategy from the Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's campaign.
All right. So do you see Nigerian politicians adopting this strategy rather than the open campaigns we are used to?
For me, it's something that I believe that even happens. You can see a couple of organizations are organizing this kind of town hall meeting. Arise TV did theirs, and I'm sure some other organizations will keep on doing that. It will be difficult for most contestants to show up in all of the meetings at the same time. But what is important is that presidential candidates, and indeed, every other person seeking for political office, to be able to find ways of relating to the people in a much closer manner, where you can actually make promises to the people, get commitment, and then, of course, get feedback. Because governance, as it is supposed to be, your strategy is supposed to be bottom-up approach. You need to sit down with the people and speak to them at a much lower level, at a much more relaxed level, not just from a distance. Because what you find out is, if you go to any rally, you find out that the podium is usually very far from the people. So whatever you say, yes, it's a good strategy to show the number of people you can put together in a campaign ground. But in a town hall meeting, what you find out is that even people are restricted. You only extend invitations to the kind of people you want to be in that meeting. The one in the Southeast was basically for business people and the stakeholders in the Southeast. And obviously, we had them in that room for that meeting. And they were able to say the things that are of importance to them and, of course, extract the commitments. Because whoever becomes president, and when, by the grace of God, Ashwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu becomes president, we can go back to him to say, listen, you promised us that we are going to have all these roadblocks between Lagos and the Southeast eliminated. You promised, this is the video. We had this conversation, and you said you're going to do A, B, C, D. Those kind of feedback are the kind of things you do not get on a regular campaign, rally. So I think it's good. I think it's, a lot of parties are going to also do this. A lot of organizations are also going to do this so that we can begin to have a much more closer meeting with the people, or between the candidates and the people, so that they can explain their plans and be able to get to know, to feel the pulse of the people. Because for any person aspiring to go to governance, you're going to represent the people. Therefore, it's important that you create a platform for you to get that kind of feedback. Ashwaju has met with business people in Lagos. He's met with farmers in Niger State. He's met with miners in Nasarawa State. Now he's meeting with the traders in the Igbo land. And of course, he went out of that meeting with a commitment and the donation of people coming together to pledge towards that cause. So we are very happy with what has happened, and we look forward to more engagements of this nature, because it is what is required in Nigeria for a moment as this.
Ambassador, let me ask you this question.
Yes.
The town hall meeting gave the stakeholders in the Southeast the opportunity to interact with Tinubu closely. Now, it was no longer the Tinubu they used to see on TV. It's no longer the Tinubu they heard so many things about. They must have seen him in another fashion. Now, do you think that this meeting may have somewhat killed the sentiments against the Muslim ticket in that region?
Thank you very much for this important question. You see, beyond the fact that he came personally, it's also the fact that, usually when presidential elections are around the corner, you hear all kinds of, stories. Everybody says if you don't want to hear how your mother got married to your father, do not join politics. So that in itself, or some of the kind of stories you hear, are really not just limited to Tinubu. There are quite a lot of other candidates that obviously you hear all kinds of all manner of stories against. But for the people of the Southeast, this meeting is good. Why is this meeting good? Do not forget that the Southeast have got other people that are running for the presidency from the Southeast region. So clearly, this meeting was about, this is who I am. Ask me the questions. If you think you want to support me for a good reason. There's also this issue of, Muslim tickets. Yes, the people of the Southeast are predominantly Christians, but there are also other people that practice other faiths as well. But the issue here, or what the candidate brought to the fore, was about the fact that religion is actually a private practice. He spoke on this matter, on this subject, saying, religion is how you relate with your God. Keep that to yourself. When you enter a aeroplane, nobody wants to know the religion of the pilot. If you want to drive on a road, there are no roads that are specifically meant for a particular religious, practice, or people that are of certain faiths. If you want to be treated in a hospital, you don't ask the doctor, what religion do you practice? So he made out this point to say, listen, I'm here and I do not want us to base our arguments on purely religion. We should outgrow that as a country. I know it's difficult. I know people always want to use this as part of the ways we relate. Or we get emotional satisfaction from saying that someone from my ethnicity is on the ticket, someone from my religion is on the ticket. But for how long, really? How long, really? We are actually trying to develop as a nation, and at the point we are in, we need to begin to de-emphasize some of these fault lines. I call them fault lines because it's easy to ignite a fire on the account of this ethnic challenge or religious divide. So Bola Ahmed Tinubu's point was, listen, we have to stand for Nigeria. The second stanza of our old national anthem talked about the fact that it's brotherhood actually that binds us as a people. It says, it's a particular stanza, though tribes and tongues may differ, but in brotherhood we stand. So it never talked about religion. It talked about the fact that we recognize that there are this tribal divide, but in addition to that, we must all come together for the benefit of Nigeria and say, listen, we have to chant a cause. So he basically talked about his ability, his experience, and the expertise that he's bringing. Everybody knows his antecedents. He is not a man that you're going to be worried about the nature of the team he's going to be able to set up. He's a man actually that selected people from all the states or from some of the states of the federation that are not Lagosians to a very big position in government. He's a man that that got an Igbo man and made him a commissioner under his government in the person of Chibena Kabeze from Anambra State. So he's not someone that you expect that will put a square hole in a round, in a square peg in a round hole. So we know his capacity, and that's the point why it was important for someone like him to come and meet with these people and see them one-on-one. At the end of the day, it's not necessarily about who becomes the president. It's about the capacity of the person that becomes the president. It's about the integrity of the person that becomes the president. It's about the willingness and the political will to do the needful for the people of the Southeast. We talked about, in his Renewed Hope document, one part that struck me there was where he said that he was going to connect the national infrastructure policy, create a nexus between the national infrastructure policy and the national industrial policy. So basically what we are talking about is creating highways, ensuring that there is a connectivity between our farms and our industries. And we pleaded to say, listen, even the rails and some of the highways, all of them should pass through the states of the Southeast, because that's how we want to be identified with Nigeria. Nigeria is a country where the people of the Southeast, find it very easy to move around and establish. There are no I'm not sure there's a tribe that moves around, it has moved around and established businesses anywhere in Nigeria than the people of the Southeast. So we needed that commitment from him. And I think that he did a good job at that. We welcome more of these meetings. What is important at this point is that the candidate is coming out and talking to the people. And of course, now proving, if they said you're ill, you come out and speak to the people. If they say you're this, you come out and, let people begin to now hear more and more and begin to make up their mind as to who they need to, support in the course of the elections. But I think that he did a good job. And we of the APC extraction stand, very boldly because we believe that he not only has the capacity, he has the best chance to win this election come 2023.
Ambassador, let me ask you now.
Yes.
How much of impact do you think this meeting is going to have on the eventual outcome of the election in 2023? This is coming from the background that you already know that the Southeast is dominated by the PDP. And now also, there is another force coming out from the Southeast, Peter Obi of the Labour Party, who is also gaining grounds and getting some massive mention. How much of impact do you think that this town hall meeting is going to have in neutralizing these other power centers, the PDP, the Labour Party, even if ABGA, which is believed to be the Southeast Party, is not a force to reckon with now?
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all is that, in politics, the people of the Southeast are very Republican in nature. And what do I mean by that? We're people that have interest in a lot of other political parties. Yes, we know that His Excellency, the former governor of Anambra State, is on the ballot. Yes, we know that the former Chief Judge of Anambra State, Peter Umadi of ABGA, is also on the ballot. Yes, we know that these people are on the ballots. But clearly, politics and national politics is such that you need a lot of alignment. You need a lot of engagement. We know that these people are on the tickets. We know that they also they have stronghold, or they are strong in some of the states in the Southeast. But that is not, you don't go into an election saying because you know someone is strong here. Basically, if you have something to offer like Ashwa, we believe Ashwaju does, that engagement is what he's doing at this particular point in time. And also don't forget that the Southeast have got 5 states, and 2 of which are under the control of the APC. 2 which are under the control of PDP, and 1 is under the control of ABGA. So clearly, you do not look at any state like Igbo and Ebonyi that is controlled by APC and say that the people won't vote for Asiwaju. That's not going to happen. You can't look at states like Anambra and say that the people will not vote for Umadi of ABGA extraction. Let every candidate come out, and then if you have something better, like we do, those of us that are Asiwaju, disciples in the Southeast, we continue to talk about what he has done for the people. We continue to talk about his experience, and it's something that I believe that the more people hear, the more they get in to understand what they stand to gain, and also the fact that you must also do the political calculations. Politics is about the numbers, not about the emotions. Politics is about the number of people and the number of the level of strategic alliances that you are able to build across the country. The way the founding fathers of Nigeria put together this nation is such that you cannot become president without having the trust and without having the support of other tribes in Nigeria. So no matter how much you do, if Igbo people vote for Igbo candidates, Hausa people vote for Hausa candidates, Yoruba people vote for Yoruba candidates, Yoruba people vote for Yoruba candidates, Rivers people vote for Rivers candidates, we are not going to have a president, for crying out loud. We must have a mix of Igbo people, some Igbo people voting for Yoruba people, some Hausa people voting for Yoruba people, and a mix of that for you to be able to produce a president in Nigeria. So we cannot close our eyes and say because APC doesn't have much support in the Southeast, or because P2B is running from the Southeast, that we will not campaign for a candidate. No, Igbo people are not like that. Igbo people are driven by their interests. Igbo people are driven by the fact that they need one of the greatest tribes that contributes to the progress of Nigeria by way of what they do wherever they find themselves. Go to Kano, go to Kaduna, go to Borno State, go to Yoruba land. I'm sure you know what the Igbo people have contributed, even in Lagos as we speak. So clearly, for us, it's about Nigeria, and then it's about who gives us the best. And of course, for us as politicians, who have also got the best chance of winning the election, because you don't run an election to come second. Second in an election, a presidential election, means you are not the president. So clearly, we are aligning our forces and hoping that we are standing behind the person with the best chance of becoming the president, irrespective of the fact that our place. That's the way Nigeria should work. Nigeria should work where people are independent in their opinion, and where people can look at choices, political choices, and take a stand. That's what it is. And for people of the Southeast, we don't have a problem with this kind of arrangement. But I believe that this visit, and of course several other visits that are likely to come in the form of rally, we should be able to see that he has one of the best chances of becoming the president and support him.
All right,
because
Ambassador,
you want to go back after elections as you won and lost and say this is what you want, and should be able to negotiate and get for what you want.
all right,
Yes.
so outside of this business meeting, what do you think the APC candidate is doing to garner more support?
What he needs to do to gather more support is continue in the line of what he's doing at the moment. And what do I mean by that? We've had the first meeting. It's important that if we can also have another meeting, because, in the course of the meeting, there were more people that had wanted to speak to him on certain things that they felt can also be done better, but didn't get the opportunity because of time constraints. So we are hoping that we'll organize more and more of these kind of meetings. And of course, the way politics work, as time goes on and as the election is about 98 days or so or thereabout, getting closer to the elections, people will begin to also see the candidates that their chances are getting brighter by the day and begin to align behind those candidates. So we are trusting that, APC in Nigeria today is the largest political party in Nigeria. In fact, the largest political party in Africa, controlling about 22 states or thereabouts. So that also shows that it's not just about the name of the APC, it's about the political structure that is on ground. Yes, I know that people have one or two issues here and there. There are issues of insecurity, there are issues of the frustration and the joblessness that our young people are facing. Yes, we acknowledge all of that. But of course, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. There are things that has to be done, and that's why I'm encouraging every Nigerian to get the Renewed Hope document to read it. For me as a young person, and for some of us that are young, that are in governance, part of the things that we believe that we can hold Asiwaju responsible for is, for example, he said in the document that 3 of his cabinet members are going to be under the age of 40. And another 6 are going to be under the age of 50. What this means is that 9 cabinet members, we are sure, will be under the ages of 50. And that number is good, because it means that we are going to have young people across the geopolitical zones of Nigeria representing the young people in his cabinet, not to talk about other positions. He also talked about how employment can be created. He also talked about how he will reform the budgeting process. Right now our budgeting system is basically based on the value of dollar and the revenues we are projecting to get from the sale of crude oil. And he's saying that this actually is a challenge, because he's actually limiting the fiscal capacity of the government to look at alternative means of funding the budget. He's talking about, what are the kind of things you want to do by way of infrastructure? What level of economic growth do you want, and what kind of numbers do you want to come out of the budget to be able to help you close this gap? And then how do you do that, also bearing in mind that you need to keep inflation at a certain level? So that document is a very vital document for everybody to read. And as you read them sector by sector, from agriculture to education to health to power down to foreign policy, you'll be able to get step-by-step approach in some of the reforms that he's proposing. I have, looked at what other parties have presented. A particular party have also said theirs is coming. It came out and they said, no, it hasn't come out. Everybody must be held accountable by what they say that they are going to do, not just by what they say by the word of their mouth, but what they're able to put down. I've just given you, some of a very clear, strategy that he has put about getting young people 3 and 6. So at the end of the day, if he has to form his cabinet, we'll all go back there to say, listen, you said 3 people are going to be under 40, 6 are going to be under 50. So where are the 9 of them, and where do they come from? So for me, it's it's at the end of the day, presidency is about engagement. It's about talking to the people. You can't say because you don't get support here, therefore you will ignore them. No, you must have got different reasons why they support a particular candidate. And for the people of the Southeast, we are business people. We believe in Project Nigeria. We believe in a president that will come and fix our challenges. And I believe that he has told the right path, and he will continue to do that in the course of this campaign.
Okay, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu made beautiful promises to Igbo business leaders. Weeks before then, he released a policy document where he unfolded his plan. There were people that, people, very cynical or skeptical people, who dug out the APC document in 2015 and said that lots of promises were made which were not fulfilled. Some might say that where realities dawn on the government, it discovered that those promises could not be kept. Some might also say that entrenched conflicting interests affected the delivery on those promises. Others might say that some of those promises were just made to make people happy. Now, the question I want to ask is this: what is the guarantee? What is the guarantee that if Asiwaju Bola Tinubu becomes president, many of those beautiful promises, or even 80% of those beautiful promises, will be fulfilled? Remember that let me remind you about Comrade Adams Oshiomhole. When Oshiomhole was the NLC president, he was like the second president. If he sneezed, the whole nation will catch cold. But when he became governor of Edo State, he said something. He said, realities have dawned on me. You know, that it's easy when you're outside government to criticize. And it's easy before you get into government to make promises. Politicians make promises a lot. But when they get into power, many times they do the reverse of what they have promised. What is the guarantee that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu will walk the talk?
Okay, thank you very much. Incidentally, the kind of politics we practice is a politics where people are judged by what they say, not exactly what they do. But as an APC member, let me address a very important issue, because this is now time for talking for every political party. You see, when we came into government in 2015, there are quite a lot of things that are being said now that are not even part of the APC manifesto, because I hear people saying that, for example, that we said $1 was going to be 1 naira and all of that. This claim never appeared anywhere on the APC's manifesto. But of course, there were challenges at that time. But you see, the truth of the matter is that when you get to governance, you have to access where we were in 2015. The nation's economy was already in a bad, in a bad state before this government took charge. However, look at dollar issue. I totally, I'm an economist by training, so I have an understanding as to what is the determinant of exchange rate in Nigeria. What was our external reserve at that particular point in time? How much revenues were we getting? Nigeria at 2015, 2016, 17, out of our 2.2 million barrels per day quota of crude oil, we were barely doing 1 million, at some point even less than 1 million. So where and how are we supposed to get the dollar that will be able to allow us to be able to defend our naira in the market? So clearly there were challenges at that point in time. Security was also a big challenge, but in different form at that point in time. Because what happened is that we know that before 2015, there were territories, local governments in Adamawa State, in Borno State, in Yobe State, that nobody could step into. People hosted flags of, terrorist organizations hosted flags to say, listen, you can't come into this place. But what has happened is that that security challenge has also metamorphosed itself from, taking territories in the country to now banditry and all forms of these issues. But as a government, you don't complain. You face them head on. We know that as of today, this issue of terrorism and banditry is being cut to size. I'm not sure, the frequency with which you were hearing them about a year ago is what is happening at this particular point in time. It shows that, government is not sleeping, over any of these issues. Yes, we know that we are not where we are, where we expected to be in terms of the promises made by the government, but government is a continuum and it's work in progress. Now, why do I believe that it won't be the same talk again? Part of the reason is because of the fact that you must stand up and look at the experience of the people. You must also stand up and say, this man that is telling me he's going to do ABCD, what has he done in the past? And the reason why people like us are standing behind Ashwaju at this point in time is because of the record that he has. It's because of his competence. It's because of his capacities. Because we know that he drew the master plan of Lagos and is implementing it government by government. He is not the person that handed over power or that will hand over power and begin to have issues from the one with the people he handed over power to. You know, so for us and for people like us that are supporting him, we believe in his capacity, and we believe that he has also even simplified the house as to what he needs to do to be able to change the narrative that we have on ground as of today. However, even the other parties that are also saying they can, what are you going to do? You also look at who they are. You also look at the nature of the people that are saying that they can and what they have also been able to do in the past. You know, for me, at this point in time, experience is what is required. We need people that will come and bring the country together. We need people that will come and begin to help the young people and drag them to the position of governance. We need people that will come and ensure that people are not selected on the basis of religion or tribe or where they come from. We need people that will be able to bring out the best in people and ensure that governance is run at the level where it is meant to be run, which is a capacity today. We be that level. It's in the level of Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in doing all of these things. So that's the reason why we are supporting it. And we believe and we know that Nigeria will be better under his leadership. All right, Doctor. On a final note, what is that very important message you have for Nigerians? Well, Nigerians, particularly, you know, I represent a group of young people as well. And these young people are saying, listen, we are good. We are ready to join political, to lead. We are ready to be involved in governance. You know, so for them, you know, these people represent a very huge, you know, a very good percentage of the population of the country. So to them, I'm saying, you know, we have this tendency of people wanting to travel and feeling that Nigeria is not addressing their needs at this particular point in time. So it's to them, and of course, the generality of Nigeria, this country better than any country you can think about in the world. Yes, we know that we have challenges as a country, but challenges are there to be conquered. If you run away, who are you running away? Who are you leaving the problem to fix? Yes, I know that people are saying, listen, we need jobs. We need something to do. We need our economy to rebound back. We need to have good infrastructure. We need a good education system. We need a good health infrastructure. All of these issues, hopefully, we believe that the incoming government will do better and build on what this government have done. Like I said, I always say politics shouldn't be a do or die affair. Nobody should get involved in thuggery or in any form of violence because you can just die. And if you die on the account of politics, nobody remembers you for anything. You're not a hero. The former president, President Jonathan, said that his ambition shouldn't be worth the life of any Nigerian. And anybody's ambition, indeed, even the ones that are running for the president and any other position, shouldn't be worth the life of any individual. What we believe is that it is democracy that we are practicing, and at the end of the day, we believe that the majority will have their way. But what is important in democracy is that this is the time to campaign for your candidate. This is the time to engage people at every level. And I believe that we're engaging the people, and we believe that Nigerians should sit down and listen, go through documents, and then hold the leaders accountable for whatever they've promised. Thank you very much. All right, thank you very much, Ambassador Dr. Elijah Onyegba, Nigerian Ambassador to the Republic of Burundi. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. We should let you go now. Thank you very much. All right, gentlemen. God bless. You heard him.
Well, he has spoken well, but like I said, all of this will boil down to what happens at the polls. It boils down to what can the Southeast give. Yes, we, in a way, all still take it out on the president for what he said about the number of votes he got from some areas. But in politics, that's a major factor that leaders consider. It shouldn't be, but we know it is, because you know that when you want to seek re-election, you are not likely to still get more votes from those. All right, Paul Dada.
While it is true that Ashwaju may have made some gains with this town hall meeting, I think it still needs a lot of convincing to do. The truth of the matter is that the Southeasterners are more obedient than they are more obedient. You understand? Their loyalty is for Labour Party and partly PDP, but it's still some gain, and then we cannot just wish it away and say, okay, he hasn't achieved anything, but he needs to do more to convince the Southeasterners.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. The FIFA World Cup is regarded as the greatest sporting event on the planet, not just because of soccer artistry on display by countries, but other razzmatazz by fans. The decision to ban sale of beer at the 2022 World Cup Stadia, kicking off in Qatar this Sunday, may deny some fans of some excitement. To add more to this, the World Cup host is putting pressure on FIFA to stop the sale of beer at 8 stadia. This is after sale of alcohol was restricted to areas immediately outside match venues and fan zones, as well as within hotels. All right, so joining me to analyze this segment of the program is sports presenter Mian Akira. Welcome to the program.
Good to be here. Many thanks.
All right, so this is Qatar standing by its Islamic principles and Arab principles. While the country has been commended for this, others have said, why did you bid for this?
Well, no doubt that there's a lot of controversy surrounding the choice of Qatar. This has caused scandal, even when you talk about the body that controls football in the world, the Federation of International Football Associations, FIFA. Now, there has also been talks about Qatar's abusive treatment, to migrant workers during the World Cup, and a whole lot of controversy. But beyond that, Gianni Infantino at this point in time is saying, hey, let the games begin. Let's try and separate, politics from sports. But the honest truth is, these controversies will always be there, especially when you take a look at the bribery scandal involving the likes of Michel Platini, Sepp Blatter, and all that, coming into the first FIFA World Cup to be held on the soil of Qatar. And interestingly, it's the second, in Asia after Japan-Korea 2022, after Japan-Korea 2002 tournament that Nigeria participated in. But by and large, let's see if football will in any way or the other take away this worrisome controversy surrounding the beautiful game.
All right, what impact do you think this will have on the tournament overall?
Well, I think it's a known fact that beer and football, alcohol and football, they mix. They run. That's why you can't have a viewing center that is not likely located where they are selling drinks. That's why, and in reality, how does a sponsor, Budweiser, pay $75 million and then they can't even advertise in the stadium? They can't sell their products. It's shortchanging them. And for fans, especially people from Germany, who can't do without beer, you are creating another World Cup. You are creating something that people can't relate with. And that's a serious matter. $75 million gone down the drain, I'm sure something must be done. If this doesn't go into a further scandal of asking FIFA to do a refund, then it could mean that the sum paid now is going to be transferred to the next World Cup.
Mia, do you share the same sentiment with him?
Well, debatable. Now, coming into a country, you must also understand that there is the culture of the country you are going into. And you need to adhere, to some of the cultures. Yes, this has been a debate, and the organizers have also said they would create an avenue, for all this, but not as seen in other tournaments. But like I said, these are major sponsors of the FIFA World Cup. These are people who want to showcase what they have. They want the world to see what they are. So how do you go about this? So it's about the laws in Qatar, the belief and the culture in Qatar against the beautiful game. But the truth of the matter is this controversy is not going to go down easily and soon.
All right, so another angle is some persons have said, well, this could afford visitors that rare opportunity of seeing Islam as what it is, rather than what they call the Islamophobic Western narratives?
Well, if you take a look at all this, you're going to a country like Qatar. You're seeing the first tournament, in the Arab country. And like I said earlier, these are things you see in areas and environments like this. These are some of, the challenges FIFA will also meet in over the 200 nations, that are parts of FIFA. By and large, going forward, I'm sure that some of the challenges they faced here would be some of the discussions that will be taken into the drawing board in Zurich, Switzerland, headquarters of FIFA, and also given a major voice to sponsors in the future. Now, the challenge with the sponsors to a large extent is there will definitely be documents. So what must be exercised in the future going forward when a particular country is hosting the biggest soccer fiesta in the world? And that's what I'm sure FIFA will be faced with in the future.
All right, so talking about going forward, should any religious country be involved in any sporting activity?
Why not? Why wouldn't they be involved? But the major issue is, what did you promise? Why are you coming a few days to the tournament to change the rules? If you promised me this is how far you are going to go, then you must be able to do it. You shouldn't be coming 2 days to the event to say, no, even the fan zones, even there, you must go to your hotels. That isn't honorable in reality. It isn't. So what Qatar is doing now is to deny other countries with such pronounced religious inclination the opportunity of hosting a major tournament. Some of these track and field events, especially the sprints, can't go to any of these countries because of what the ladies wear.
We will have to wear.
They can go there. So you already know that. So if you are coming as a Qatar, even in future, the question will be asked. Hope when we get to the field, the rules will not change. Because that's what is happening now. I can imagine the preparation this sponsor would have made to ship its product. You might even be there already.
Definitely.
So it means you have wasted money to move, and then you are now going to waste money to take back.
Just like you said, it's like pushing or trying to change the goalposts, when the match has started, to a large extent. Fans are not happy. There's a lot of talking points. He made mention of the Germans. The Germans love to celebrate with such, brand, when they win, even in their league and all that, So by and large, this will be part of the talking points in the future, and I'm sure FIFA will not get away with it easily in the future. All these things will be pronounced, and then it's probably a learning curve, for FIFA at this point in time. Besides, Qatar, was well aware of what the FIFA World Cup is all about. They are aware of, the historic nature of the World Cup, the sponsors, and all that. So, coming to address all these weeks, months to the World Cup, to a large extent, to fans who are there, they say it's not fair. But FIFA, it's up to them and their sponsors in the future when you consider hosts.
All right, Mia, let me stay with you a bit. Let's talk about the tournament itself. This is the first in the Gulf region. What should soccer fans be expecting?
Well, I've been impressed to a large extent with what I've seen so far. I've spoken with colleagues, who have touched down in Qatar. And one of the astonishing things is the fact that you're having stadia that can be shipped from one place to another. In the future, you see some form of technology and all that. You also see stadia that are fully air conditioned and all. Qatar has invested so much, no doubt. But beyond that, let's see how this and the beautiful game will come together to make it, something spectacle that the world, is watching out for. Some are saying this would be another footballing artistry or thereabouts, beyond the field of play, taking a look at the environment that is being played. But hey, I think Qatar is looking interesting at this point.
All right, so which of these countries do you see as the favorite to lift the trophy?
Already people are mentioning France. But I think when you run through the stars these countries are bringing, you can't really say for sure now that these 4 will be in the semi-final. You can't really say because there are loads of them, even African countries. Senegal is missing Sadio Mane, but it doesn't mean that that country doesn't have a chance because there are so many stars there. When you go in some countries, you find Nigerians playing for them. So it's going to be interesting. We've had discussions here that Nigerians will look away. But I can tell you that a lot of those viewing centers are still going to be packed because you have Nigerians playing for other countries. You have major players in the English Premier League that people want to see. You have scouts who have stormed the venue. And then, like I said, the spectacle of the stadium. You just need to see some of the pictures. I mean, both video and still. And you appreciate that these people, apart from the controversy over there, they've really prepared well. And the stars who are going there are going to give the best. But I think I go with those who are still saying France stands a very good chance.
Does France stands a chance?
Well, they are the defending champions, and getting to see a country defend the FIFA World Cup trophy consecutively, defending it in the role is a huge task. Unfortunately, in the last 24 hours, in training for Les Bleus of France, they lost an experienced player in Karim Benzema of Real Madrid Football Club, and he's been ruled out of the World Cup, which is a major blow, you know, to the French national team. And the manager of the side has said he's not going to call up a replacement, you know. That's not going down with me, you know, as a fan and as a journalist also. But hey, I don't think I want to go with the French national team.
Okay, so what team?
I will go with the Seleção of Brazil.
Okay.
I feel the Brazilian national team, they've got everything it takes. One, they've got youths, young players who are very experienced, players who are in their early 20s, and that's when you get the best, you know, from some of the best players in world football. You've got Vinicius, you know, from Real Madrid, Rodrigo from Real Madrid in their early 20s, and they are playing, you know, the best of football. There is a Martinelli from Arsenal who has been tipped years back by different managers. Ronaldinho felt, yes, is one player to watch out for in the future. The manager of Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp, also felt is one player to watch out for in the future. And when he was named in the Brazilian national team back home in Brazil, there were a lot of, you know, opinions that, oh, he's still too young. But I'm sure they have a point to prove. But the young attacking flair mixed with the experience of the likes of Neymar, Thiago Silva and the likes, I think the Brazilian team with Tite, they have something to prove, knowing fully well that the last time Brazil also came this far, you know, was in 2002, Japan-Korea FIFA World Cup tournament. So with the Seleção, 5-time World Cup champions, 58, 62, missing it in 70, but then came back, you know, to indeed do justice. Let's see, winning it in 66, missing out in 66 to England. Will they indeed then get the job done this time around? That's the million-dollar question.
So we've talked about the country. Now let me ask you, what player do you think will stand out at the Qatar World Cup 2022?
Well, I was looking out for Benzema, but now he's out. I think I will also join France in looking out for what Lionel Messi is going to prove. He's moved from the height of his game to perhaps the lowest in years with his move to PSG. My thinking is that he should use this World Cup to prove that it is because he's here to get used to the system, or perhaps something is happening in PSG, that's why he has not been himself. I'm looking forward to it.
Lionel Messi?
Let me start from where he stopped. Lionel Messi, he has said it, that this will be his last FIFA World Cup tournament. And yes, some say the Messi we know 4 years back, 8 years back, it's not the same Messi. This is not the Messi of Barcelona. It's a different Messi entirely. But sometimes people will tell you that old wine tastes better, especially when it comes to national team football. National team football or the World Cup is not like the marathon where you see in the Premier Leagues and also, you know, other European championship. But sentimentally, I want to believe that the Argentines will not win the FIFA World Cup tournament. Sentimentally, I also want to believe that the Portuguese national team will not win the FIFA World Cup tournament. That's between Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, because this could be their last World Cup tournament. Maybe it may not just end up in Europe, probably. I will still stick with the Brazilians.
Let's watch and see. All right. Thank you very much, Mami and Akio, for joining me on the show today. And thank you very much, Mr. Dotun Oladipo. All right. That's all on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Join us tomorrow for the regular episode of the program at 5 p.m. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11:30. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Monkeypox is caused by a virus of same name that is closely related to now eradicated smallpox. The likely symptoms of monkeypox are fever, headache, muscle aches, back pain, low